This is the Fly the W670 podcast, episode 15, season number 4. Please leave us one of those 5-star reviews. In this segment, Crawly interviews Denise Vasquez and Cathy Weadley, two Cubs fans that now share more than the love of their favorite Northside baseball team. This is an amazing story about baseball friendship and sacrifice that you do not want to miss.
Joining me live from Arizona, we got two great Cub fans. We have Denise Vasquez and Cathy Weadley. First off, Denise, how are you feeling today? How are you doing? You just saw another Cub win, 4-0 so far.
Yep, we're undefeated.
And Cathy, you're down there as well. You've been in all the games. Been a lot of fun, and the Cubs look good so far. Now, Cathy and I, we know each other from way back. She was my middle school teacher all the way in the late 1980s. So I was just a little Cub fan, and Cathy was my PE teacher. And years later, I got to reunite with Cathy through Club 400, which is a group about Cub fans helping Cub fans. So I had been a Cub fan all my life. Cathy was a Cub fan all her life. Denise, how did you get into the Cubs?
I was stationed with the Navy in Chicago, and during my service there for 4 years, my first major league game ever was at Wrigley. And so once I went there, you're hooked, and I became a Cubs fan, and that was 1994.
That was 1994, so right around the time Sammy Sosa's coming into town.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You had to have been excited to see Sammy Sosa coming back.
More than you could even imagine. It was so fun to go to that event and meet him. Yes, he's the reason well, not the only reason, but a big reason why I was a Cubs fan. Yeah, it was amazing watching him and the home run races and everything. Yeah.
Let me kind of go back here a little bit, Cathy. I was talking about how Denise became a Cub fan. How did you become a Cub fan?
The 69 Cubs was my very first experience attending Wrigley Field. I went with the Arlington Heights Park District in June of that year, June of 69. And I fell in love with the place and made up my mind that I wanted to work there someday. And so after that, my dad kept taking me to games, and then he explained baseball, softball to me because I was already playing ball, and I was hooked since 69.
So 69, the team was 84, and for Denise, 94, being stationed in Chicago. And so, Cathy, you have always had a very interesting job. Stuart McVicker, Club 400, had always tasked you with bringing the beer and the tent and everything out to Mesa. So for people that don't know, the tent is outside of Club 400, and it's where we kind of all hang out here. Here's a picture of Stu, Weeds, Steve, Sir, myself.
Cool
and,
picture.
Just a great picture. And when you go to the tent, it's in between the Performance Center and Sloan Park. Here's a picture of all of us,
Nice.
I think from 2024, and that just kind of shows you how wild the tent can be. But Denise, let me ask you really quick. When did you first kind of start to realize, hey, there's this crazy tent of Cub fans. I need to go hang out with them.
Actually, I saw it right away. We started coming out in 14 when the stadium was built there, and I became a season ticket holder in 18. But we always saw the tent, and I was always wondering. You see them all lined up, and I was always asking my wife, how do you get involved with somebody on that side? Because we would stand and try to get our autographs. And, they stop sometimes they don't. But all the players would come down and always stopped at all the tents. And we're like, okay, there's a catch. There's a catch to get into that tent side. And then, we saw the Sloan, their big area. And obviously you need invitations for that. And we just kind of just let it go. But we saw it every year because it was always there. And, 1 year, actually 22, we were sitting there doing our autographs and trying. And Cathy saw us across the way. And she's like, hey, come on. She came over to us and started talking and said, come on back to this way, meet everybody. And we did. We went over there, met everybody. They became family, and we just kept hanging out there since. And, it's been great knowing everyone.
And Cathy, sometimes you just like when everybody's welcome at Club 400, but sometimes there's certain people that you just kind of know right away. And that's Denise and Gabby. Like from the moment they came to the Club 400 tent, they were just like, they've always been there.
Yes, because I actually walked around and invited them over back in the 22 season towards the tail end. I think they joined us for like 3 games. And then in the 23 season, they joined us a lot in the 24 season. And so, we all became friends, and that's how it all brought us about because it's just something fun to do. And back in the day, Stu had me start driving the beer out because he knew I didn't drink. So he knew every can would show up here in Arizona.
And that's the reason he didn't let me drive the truck. Now, if you're, but as we got to know Denise, we started to find out that there was something going on with you. Tell our listeners a little bit about what was going on with you health-wise.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with, it's called FSGS, and I just tell people to Google it because it's a really long word. But for the most part, it's sclerosis of the kidneys. So the kidneys harden and they don't filter anymore. And gradually over time, they gave me a 10-year lifespan and said, enjoy life, because eventually they were going to just shrivel up and not work. And they said I'd have to start on dialysis and everything eventually. I was stable for about 7 years when I was in California, and my GFR was like 37. So the GFR is your filtration rate in your kidneys. And most normal people who have healthy kidneys are anywhere between 80 and 100. So 37 obviously was not good, but I just trucked along. I just did good. And then I moved here to Arizona, and within a 4-year period, my GFR went from 37 down to 5. And at that point, December 10th, they said I needed to start dialysis, and we all saw on Facebook how that went. So it wasn't good.
Well, we realized, okay, Denise needs a kidney, and that's where Club 400, Stuart McVicker, everyone involved just says, okay, we need to do something to help Denise. So we're trying to get the word out everywhere. Hey, Denise needs a kidney. There's a QR code. We're sharing it all over Facebook, everyone we possibly can. And Cathy,
thanks to Christina for making that for me. She put that flyer together.
And Cathy, when did you realize, okay, maybe there's something I can do?
The 23 season, I applied, but it was with the National Kidney Donation Center. They hadn't heard of Denise, so I had to wait till I came back in 24 to say, Denise, where do you need me to apply? That's when I found out it was St. Joseph's Hospital and the Norton Transplant Center connected to the hospital. So I applied in April when I got home from the 24 season. And then basically my application was put on hold, probably because of my age and the fact that I survived West Nile virus, spinal meningitis, and encephalitis. They're looking at my application thinking, age and had 3 diseases. They don't want to give Denise anything, So anyhow, I begged the lady to keep my application active because they already had 2 donors they were looking at. And I said, well, I'm happy if these younger donors are able to donate to Denise because it saves my friend, and then I keep my kidney. But if they don't, would you please call me and give me a chance? I'm not your typical 65, 66-year-old because I had a birthday during the process. So in any case, the lady called me October 22nd, and she said, we lost our donors. Are you still interested? And of course, my words were, hell yes. My friend needs a kidney, and if she don't get it, it means dialysis or death. So she goes, how quickly can you get to a blood clinic and have your blood drawn and sent to us? And I said, well, I can arrange to come to Arizona in November, and if you arrange every test you want me to do, which it's been a 30-step process from the day I applied till the day I gave my kidney. I said, I'll stay in Arizona long enough to do all the tests that you want to do and meet all the people you want me to meet. Set it up. I am yours. Let's make this happen. I believe I will be Denise's kidney donor. I've had that feeling since the day I found out she needed a kidney.
Wow. So you had a feeling, and Denise, we all started to hear, Cathy, started telling a couple of us, and we were kind of starting to formulate plans. But, in the meantime, you have no idea that you have somebody that's very close to being a donor. And as you said, you start dialysis. And at this point, it's getting dire. The situation's getting dire. And I don't even want to go through the whole dialysis process, but let's just say for you, I mean, this is a picture that you took from your social media.
Great photo, man. You could have picked anything else. You could have picked the one of me hooked up to the machine or something.
Well, here's why I picked that photo. To be honest, no, it's not the greatest photo, but to me, I'm watching this and my heart's breaking because I see how much pain and suffering that you're going through at this time. And like part of me is like, oh my, should we? We can't say anything because if it doesn't work out, then you're just disappointed. So we're kind of just sitting here just praying. But in the meantime, we're watching as the situation's getting worse. How scared were you, Denise, when that picture that I showed? How scared were you at this point?
So scared kind of isn't the word. I was completely devastated. Obviously, I never wanted to go on dialysis. That was not even in my plans to do it. But my mother, because moms, you got to at least try. You got to at least try. But I always knew I didn't want to do that because I'm a very outgoing person. I like to do stuff. And again, if you're on my Facebook, you see I go everywhere. So to be told I have to sit in a chair for 4 hours, 3 times a week to get my blood cycled, and that's not living. That's just not living. For some people it may be, but for me, it's not. So I decided a long time ago I wasn't going to do it. But again, because of my mom, I did try it. We all saw how that went. 3 times passed out. My arm got infected. I was hospitalized. It was just 2 weeks of hell. It just didn't go well at all. And then it just, I was having a complete meltdown. I was done. I was serious. Yeah. I was ready to check out of the hospital and just go home and let time do what it needed to do.
And so, Cathy, when did you get word that it was all systems go?
I got the phone call December 17th that I was officially approved to be Denise's donor. They told me when I left Arizona November 20th to come home after completing all 23 of the steps. I still had 2 tests to do at home, the mammography and the colonoscopy. So they said, pending the outcome of those 2 tests you do at home with your doctors, if it's a go with them, then you will be Denise's donor. So we are petitioning the transplant and hospital board to get permission to have you be Denise's donor pending the outcome of those 2 tests. So I knew as long as I kept getting good news, I would be the donor. December 17th, they had my colonoscopy report. They got December 3rd, they got the mammography report. So I got the phone call saying, I am the donor. And I said, when are you going to call Denise? You got to give her some good news. Things are dire for her. She's losing hope. Lori goes, as soon as I hang up the phone with you, I'm calling Denise. So I let Denise break the news.
And so, Denise, you get the call.
Yes.
Tell me what they say to you when you pick up that phone.
So I was actually in the hospital still, and I was told that I had a donor, and the doctors had already come in, done their rounds and everything, and it is what it is because now my red blood count was down to like 5. It was bad. It was really bad, and they were like, Lori called and said, hey, we have a donor, and I was like, what? And I just started crying and everything, and she said, so just try to keep going, do what you need to do. Well, obviously the doctors came in later and they said I need a blood transfusion because my hemoglobin was so low. And I said, no, I don't want it. And they said, you need it because I was like really bad. And I still said no, because if I would have got that blood transfusion, I could not get the kidney she said I was going to get because the antibodies would change from somebody else's blood. So at that point, my option was just to check out of the hospital, which kind of they kicked me out at the same time because I refused to take the blood. And I came home, I sat in the sun. I tried to get as much vitamin D and eat some proper foods to try to raise my hemoglobin so I can 3 weeks later hopefully be able to do the surgery, because the surgeon said if my hemoglobin wouldn't get to 7.3 and I was like at 5, there was no way they were going to do it. So on the 6th of January, I went in and it was 7.3. So they were going to do the surgery the next day. I literally lucked out.
And so, Cathy, there's a small group of us that know that this is happening. And so there's this big reveal planned for Denise, but it did not go according to plan. Tell our listeners about that.
That was a rough morning. Stu McVicker was coming out here for JP's wedding. So Stu's like, do the reveal when I'm there. And I'm like, absolutely. We got to have that. Stu McVicker is the guy that put me on the path to meet Denise, and basically Club 400 me being involved in that put me where I met her. And it's kind of like answering Denise's family and Denise's prayers. God answered their prayers through me by making our paths collide. So we decided, I was talking to Stephanie, Steve, Rich, and everybody that was out here, Linda, Stacy, Alan, Miriam. And so we're like, let's pick a date where we can get everybody to assemble, and we wanted to have a luncheon. So it was decided we'd go to Portillo's in Tempe there and tell Denise. Why we didn't think of Sloan right off the bat, I don't know. But
Everybody was hungry.
Denise ended up at urgent care that morning because of the swelling in her hands, infection, whatever. She can tell you more about that. So we're like, oh, okay, so lunch is off. Well, if you get out in time, we don't mind. We'll move the time. Stu was going to have a photographer and everything to videograph it. So we're like, we got the bright idea. Well, let's go to Sloan and have them meet us there. So we stood outside the first base gate and had the marquee in the background. We were sweet talking the security guard into letting us in, but he had to call higher ups to get that. And unfortunately, we didn't give enough advance notice, or otherwise they would have let us in. But so we stood in front of the gate, and eventually Denise and Gabby got there after they finally got out of urgent care. So we had the group all assembled, and then we did the big reveal with the help of Obvious Tees. Steve got the bright idea for that, him and Rich. And they ordered shirts for us that Joe at Obvious Tees or Obvious Shirts supplied. And then we had everybody go up and say something to her and how excited we were. And then when it was my turn to talk,
well, you know what, Cathy, I'm going to stop you right there because I actually have the video of this actual moment here.
We'd like to present this to you as a shirt that you can wear. Because remember, I told you that spring training, this is your end game. You can wear this shirt proudly here at Sloan Park.
Oh, that's cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Very
perfect.
sweet.
And I also want to point out
Very
that this
sweet.
shirt was donated through the generosity of Joe and Obvious Shirts as well.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
kudos to him for taking our idea and putting it into existence.
Thank you. Thank
Joe
you.
Cubified the kidney shirts
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
And Denise, everybody else has made a testimonial,
That's
and
awesome.
I haven't taken the time to do mine yet. But I really have nothing to say other than I hope you do well with the surgery. And since I'm getting really hot, I got to take my shirt off.
That's cool.
Yeah. So what does that say, girl?
Cubs fan kidney donor.
I am your donor.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am. I am your donor, girl.
All right.
I had to lie to you when I saw you at the hospital. So you're going to be a part of me forever now, sister. Yeah. So let's get you healthy and let's get you to surgery.
I mean, I'm like trying not to cry right now. I think Denise is crying.
Yeah.
The thing that makes me laugh, Denise, about the entire situation is that you like Cathy mentioned, you obviously were going through hell that morning. You were in the hospital again, and you probably didn't have your wits about you. It's kind of overwhelming. Everybody's kind of around you and saying all these things. And Cathy takes off the sweatshirt, and there's the Obvious shirt that said kidney donor. And you look at it and you kind of like, oh, that's cool. And I think it probably took a second for it to kind of sink in what was happening.
Well, kind of originally when Steve gave me the other shirt, I just thought it was like, oh, like in other words, they're hoping you're going to get a kidney. So it's kidney fan, recipient. I was like, well, and in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's a really nice shirt, but I can't wear it because I don't have a kidney. So it's just, I was thinking, what a nice gift, but I don't know if I'll ever wear it. It's just, yeah. And then I read her shirt and it took a while to like click. And then, yeah, it was a lot. And then after, obviously, I realized it was her. It was just a lot.
And you could see in the video, just a wave of emotion seems to pass over you at that point.
Relief, total relief. Because I was in a bad place. So it was complete relief.
And so now now it's kind of like game time. Everybody, we know the plan. We know what's going to happen. Cathy's going to go to the hospital. You're going to go to the hospital. It's game time. And Cathy, you're one of the bravest people I've ever known. You never, I've never seen you kind of waver, falter. You just said, this is what we're doing. You've always kind of had that mentality. And so, you're sitting there, and this is a picture of you with your W flag, your Cub flag. You got the Cub, whatchamacallit, surgical hat.
Surgical hat, yeah.
It's just you came in with a lot of confidence. Tell us what that whole process, not the whole process, but before you get wheeled in, was there any nerves at all, or were you very confident in the procedure?
Well, I was actually gonna joke with the doctor and go, wait, I changed because they told me I could change my mind up until the moment they put me to sleep. And I was gonna go, wait, I changed my underwear. Instead of saying change my mind about doing this, I would have never done that. And I never joked with the doctor because this was serious, but I was like, boy, we could have fun. And I love having humor. So in any case, the hospital staff was fantastic. Every single person I encountered. And this was the best Christmas present I ever gave anybody. And I was honored to do it.
And so
gift I got.
The best Christmas gift you ever got. Denise, now as you're sitting there and you're getting wheeled in, how confident were you going in there? Were there some nerves?
I was nervous just because I knew my blood count going in was really low. And they did tell me they were going to have to give me blood when I was on the table. But that would not interfere with the kidney because I was already open and they were going to run it through at the same time. So I knew that was going to be okay. My fear was it can happen. They put it in and my body could reject it. And then I'd feel devastated because she went through all this to help me and I killed it, so that weighs on your mind a lot. So, but I was really, really excited and also just apprehensive to just let this please work. Yeah.
And Cathy, you guys are in the same hospital, and the one thing I can say is both of you, it feels like both of you, it seemed like you were ready to go run a marathon. You guys were so excited after it was done, even though, you got to take it easy. Just the joy on both of your faces and going to visit each other in hospital rooms. It looked like you guys were just enjoying it so much.
When we were talking about what it was like going into surgery, the last thing I said to the surgeons and the surgical team right before they knocked me out was, all right, team, let's do this. Let's get her done and let's hit a home run. Grand slam here. My friend needs a kidney. Let's get it out of me and get it in her ASAP. And so they're like, okay. And then boom, the bass goes on and I didn't wake up till 2:30 in the afternoon. And then the rest is history.
And so, Denise, now here you are. Tell us a little bit about the recovery process and where you are right now.
So everything, like I said, my first 15 hours with the new kidney, my body had already filtered out 5 liters of fluid. My body over all these years since I was sick, I've lost 30 pounds in water weight just because my kidneys weren't doing it and her kidney is doing it. So I've dropped 30 pounds and it's just crazy. It's not like muscle or anything. It's literally just water I've been retaining over all these years. And my blood is clean. My labs are amazing. All the lab work's really good. I feel like I have tons of energy, but because of all the anti-rejection meds I'm on, I really have no immune system now. And I'll be on those meds for the rest of my life because if I stop them, my body will fight the kidney because it's a foreign object in there that doesn't belong there. So I'm okay with all the meds. Anything's better than dialysis. So I will take all my meds. I'm up to 50 a day, but that's okay.
Denise, tell me what it was like on Friday, the first game at Sloan Park. What did that mean? What did that game? You've been to plenty of spring training games. What did that game mean to you specifically?
So it's been I didn't think, honestly, I'd be there because of my situation. I honestly thought I'd be on dialysis or not here. So, it was great. It was fun to show up and see, obviously, the players and whoever showed up at the Club 400 tent and just to be at the ballpark and then talking to Steve and stuff. Like we did our interview today with Marquis, with Scotty, and he, there you go. And Steve was standing on the side. He actually took that photo. And the cool thing is I always remember the video he sent me in the hospital telling me, come on, Denise, you got this. This is your end game to get back here when he did it at the park. And it was emotional for me because I was in a bad place. So to have somebody go and do that for me, you can't really put that into words, but it mattered so much because I was bad. And it just to show up there today, even I told Scott that today, for him to go out and do that for me and to post it, I mean, to give it to me and then I posted it, but it meant the world that he did that and just like, come on, you got this. Let's go. Let's get back here. So
now this story is blowing up all over the place. It's viral in Arizona. And Cathy, it was also on WGN, right?
It was on WGN, I believe. And friends told me it was on AB7 back home. And Denise knows which channels they were on out here because I don't know the TV networks here.
And so that was kind of a special story for National Donor Day. And the other thing is that you guys just found out some good news very recently, right, Denise and Cathy? I can see Cathy's already smiling ear to ear. Denise, tell everybody a little bit what's going to happen at Sloan Park.
Yeah, so we got a call from one of the Cubs people in their little office, and they asked if we would be interested in throwing out the first pitch on March 2nd and also sing the 7th inning stretch.
Oh my God. And so Cathy, I know you know the words, but are you going to practice it all before getting up in the booth? I don't know if you're going to use Tim Sheridan's booth.
No, they do it right there on the grass, right out in front of the dugout.
I practice every time in my car driving to Sloan Park, and I'm like, oh my God, do I know the words?
Yeah. So you got to go over the words and Cracker Jack, not Jacks. There's all sorts of little things in there, but you know what? It's all about having fun. It's all about a magical moment. And, you know, I think when all of us, I always tell people when you join Club 400, the appeal to it is more like, oh, I get to get autographs and I get to meet players. And then once you understand what Cub fans helping Cub fans all about, that transcends everything, all the baseball stuff. It's beyond baseball. It's something higher than that. It's a higher calling that we all kind of got drawn to each other through baseball, through Club 400. And so this story now is just, you know, Cathy, I know, you and I have gone to a lot of Club 400 events together and we've seen lives being changed, but never, I don't know if you ever thought you were going to be so directly involved in the change of somebody's life, literally a Cub fan helping a Cub fan.
If it weren't for me meeting Stu McVicker at the Tom Ricketts Trophy presentation at his home in 2017, Bob Ibeck brought me as a guest to see. He goes, "You won't believe this place." When I took one look at Stu's basement and met Stu, I'm like, I have to get involved. The very next year, I retired from teaching and hook, line, and sinker jumped into Club 400, helping Stu, working my way in. Took a job at Wrigley, working as an SSA. I'm usually at gate 5, gate 4, gate 1. Used to be in the bleachers all the time, but the knees are bad. And then I just wanted to get involved.
Well, the fun thing is, guys, is that even though I'm not going out to spring training again, we have a group of over 25 people that are going to be at Chase Field on opening day, March 27th in Phoenix, Cubs versus Arizona Diamondbacks. And I'm just going to say how I cannot wait to give both of you hugs and how much fun it's going to be, to be at that game and just kind of, like I said, I just watching this whole story from afar just unfold and to see how it all ended up. It really, truly is a miracle. And Cub fans are truly the best fans in the world. Denise, I'm going to let you go first. Or actually, Cathy, why don't you go first with anything else you have to say, and then I'll let Denise kind of finish this episode up.
Well, couldn't have done it without all the support I had to keep me going, all the people to thank. I mean, my family in Arizona, my relatives, putting me up for 4 months out here, my cousin taking me back and forth to appointments. I couldn't have done it without my Arizona family, my Club 400 family, all my colleagues back home that I used to teach with, supporting me. And I had so much support coming into this. There was no way I was going to back out or mess this up. The goal was deliver this kidney instead of beer I delivered both actually, deliver the kidney and the beer and all the tent stuff and all that get it to Arizona in time for surgery and in time for spring training. So this was my calling. I had to do this.
All right, Denise.
So I joked, you guys had seen it on Facebook, but I had joked about when I found out I had a donor, and then they called me the next day once I actually came home from the hospital, and they said when the surgery date was, and they said January 7th. And I was like, are you serious? Literally 3 weeks from when I just got home from the hospital. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And again, trying to work on getting my blood count up. So I was like, okay. But the thought in my brain was, wouldn't that be cool if it was a Cubs fan trying to get this done before spring training? And sure enough, it was a Cub fan, and we're going to spring training. So it's just super cool.
Well, I mean, you know, it truly is. And, you know, we all love both of you. We're so happy that this all worked out and that we're going to all celebrate together all spring and on opening day. Bless you guys. And thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having us.